Welcome again, guys, to this channel. You are here because you want to know the facts before you start venturing into poultry farming. So these are the things that I wish I knew, and because I did these mistakes, you don't have to do them. So welcome again to Moses Smash channel, and if you are new here, please subscribe and like the channel so that this content will be pushed to other farmers. Number 10 is very advisable to start small. Many people have not learned, they have learned this the bad way, and these are the people who get a very hard time in poultry farming. If you want to really start and to be a very knowledgeable poultry farmer, you have to start small, because poultry, unlike other livestock business or any other type of farming, one simple mistake can wipe out your whole flock. So if you want to start poultry farming, first thing is you start small so that you can learn everything, all the diseases, everything about poultry, what the poultry needs, the diseases, the best feeds for your poultry. So it's very advisable to start small. Nobody should cheat you in poultry business. You're supposed to start in large numbers. Where many people who have started in large numbers, they have incurred a lot of losses because of lack of knowledge and the information that comes with learning step by step. Number 9 is the type of chicken you are willing to keep. If you have this information about this area, this one area that can take you out of poultry business. When I was starting, I started with improved kienyeji, and that is one very bad decision that I made. I know it works for other people, but for me, kienyeji and improved kienyeji was a no-go zone, because I was doing the battery cages, but the amount of feeds that you feed these hybrid chickens and the amount of feeds that you feed the improved kienyeji is the same. So when you're going that traditional route, the amount of eggs that is produced by these ones can produce up to 90%, but for indigenous they go up to 60-70, and you have used the same amount of feeds, the same amount of efforts to produce the same amount of eggs and meat. These ones, they produce for over 2 years, or around 2 years, from 2 years, from 1.5 to 2 years, they produce the best. For indigenous chicken, they produce for a very long time, but they produce a small number of eggs per year. So that means you'll be incurring losses, or if not losses, the amount of profit margin that we'll be having will be quite small. So for me, I decided to go the hybrid way, and this is the best choice that I've made so far in poultry business. Number 8 is failure to invest in proper in knowledge. If you fail to invest in research and proper knowledge about poultry farming, you are doomed to fail, because there are a lot of things that are involved in chicken farming. What I did before I started these ones, I visited a lot of farms. I visited almost 15 farms, different places. I went to Nakuru, I went to Nairobi, I went to Olkalau, and I went to different places, to different farmers, so that I can learn. And every time I went to a different farmer, I learned a different thing. I learned a different experience they had experienced, which a hard time that they had, and the solution that they used to overcome that problem. So it's very wise to invest in research and knowledge. If you get a lot of wisdom for your poultry, the research nowadays, you don't have to visit a lot of farms. You can do the research from YouTube channels like this YouTube channel. You can go and visit other YouTube channels, and you see the problems that poultry farmers are facing, so that you can overcome yours, and you don't have to repeat the same mistake that they did, and which will result to incurring a lot of losses. So down to number 7 is one thing that I wish I knew is doing proper market research. And this one, I faced this one when it was not during the selling of eggs, but when disposing the egg layers. When you are disposing your egg layers, if you have not done your enough research, you will have problems researching selling your egg layers. Because the first time I was selling my first egg layers, I was selling them at around 400 shillings. But after doing a very nice market research, I found out that I was supposed to sell at around 600 shillings. So for every chicken that I sold, I lost 200 shillings. And at that time, I sold over 200 chickens. So that translates to a loss of around 40,000. 40,000 loss because of not doing proper market research. So before you dive into poultry business, one thing that for sure you need to do, if you are doing it for meat, you just research your market properly before you dive into the business. Or if you are doing it for eggs, make sure you have researched the market properly, you have known the market prices, and do your maths, the amount of food that your chicken is supposed to eat. So if you find that there will be a margin after doing that market research, then you are good to go. Number 6, it's another thing that I never thought it will be a problem, is a problem of rodents, especially rats. Rats is a big menace that can eat on your profits really much. These ones, they give you a problem where you store your feeds, where you store your poultry feeds. If you don't have deterrents to make sure you keep away the rats, then you are in for a very rude shock. At first, I was buying a lot of chicken feeds. I was buying them wholesale, so I was buying a big numbers of sacks, and I was placing them in my store. So one thing that it attracted is a lot of rats. There were more than 200 rats at once that were feeding on my poultry feeds. So one thing that I did is investing in cats. I invested in around 4 cats, and that problem diminished. It looks like it's a funny problem, but it really eats a lot in your profits. So if you don't have any other way of dealing with the rodents, the rats, you better start looking for cats as early as now. If you're thinking about investing in deep litter system, there is one very important thing that you need to know. If you're dealing with deep litter system, the areas that you're placing your drinkers, because of the spillage of the water and maybe the warmth, that brings a very nice breeding grounds for coccidiosis. If there is a disease that can give you headaches, can give you losses, is coccidiosis. When your chicken starts diarrheaing, and the diarrhea contains blood, actually it reaches a time when they poop, they poop only blood alone, very fresh blood, and they survive for around 2 or 3 days, and you can lose up to 80% of your flock. So the best way to tackle that is to make sure, if you are doing deep litter system, your litter is very dry and it doesn't contain water, because moist litter plus some warmth, that is the best breeding ground for coccidiosis. Coccidiosis is a menace, a very big menace in poultry farming, and it's even worse than Newcastle disease, because your chickens die and there's nothing you can do about it. And if you are late administering the medicine, you get a lot of losses. Another thing is the medicine for curing coccidiosis. They are very expensive. The vaccination for coccidiosis is very expensive. So you don't want to go to that route. The best way is to maintain hygiene. You make sure your litter is not moist, but that problem mostly you don't find it with battery cages. This type of cages, the coccidiosis is a story of the past. Number 4 is about vaccination. If you don't want to vaccinate your chicken, don't get into poultry business, because most people, they overlook a lot of things in poultry business, and they will be the first people to tell you how poultry farming is hard, how you can't break even in poultry farming because of failure to vaccinate their poultry. If you fail to vaccinate your poultry, or you don't want to vaccinate your poultry, it's best to stay away from commercial production of poultry and commercial production of eggs. They are around this area. Let me talk about the experience that I had. I have experience with coccidiosis. That one is vaccinatable, but you can vaccinate coccidiosis, but it's very expensive. So the vaccination for coccidiosis is very expensive. That one I did not give. Instead of investing in such money in buying vaccination for coccidiosis, the best thing is to build these battery cages. But if the deep litter system is working for you and you are able to maintain the high level of hygiene, that one is very nice for you. So the ones that we vaccinate around here is Gumboro, Newcastle, fowlpox, fall typhoid, such kind of diseases. So what you need to do is to learn what type of diseases is your chicken prone according to your geographical area. Then you vaccinate them, because one thing with poultry, if they are affected, if one of the poultry is affected by a certain disease, chances of your whole of your flock will be wiped out is very, very high. So it's very important to invest in vaccination and having a very nice vaccination schedule. Most hatcheries, they provide you with a vaccination schedule when you are buying their day-old chicks. So another mistake that most farmers do is over covering their poultry houses. As you can see, this poultry house is quite open. As you can see, everywhere is quite open. Poultry don't feel cold as human beings. So most farmers, they make this mistake of over covering their poultry houses, and they encourage outbreak of respiratory illnesses. And as I've said, if one hen gets a disease, it's very easy for that disease to spread to other poultry. So you don't need to over cover your poultry house, because to encourage free flow of air, so that you will eliminate the spread of respiratory illnesses. Respiratory illnesses, they are very like coryza. They can be spread by over covering your house, or any other respiratory illnesses that can attack your chickens. So you don't need to over cover. Actually, you need to expose most of the area, so that there will be free flow of air, as far as you are maintaining the orientation of your poultry house, so that you only cover the side where the wind blows from, but those other areas you don't cover them. You encourage free flow of air. So number 2 is networking. If you don't network with other farmers, mostly you'll have challenges in marketing. It's very nice to network with experienced farmers, because if you learn to network, you will get market. Maybe you don't have a market for your egg layers, but if you network with other farmers, you can easily access the market. And it's very, very important, if you are a poultry farmer or any other type of farmer, to have a network of other farmers, so that we'll be communicating. Because there are times that you don't have a market, but another farmer has a market, but doesn't have the poultry or the eggs to supply that market, and he or she can connect you to that market. So it's very, very important to connect with other farmers. And finally, number one, if you are any type of a farmer, you are supposed to know cheap is expensive. That one I have learned in a very, very hard way in 2 areas. The first area is when buying day-old chicks. If you want to buy very cheap day-old chicks, you will find most of them, they are not very right breed, or they are the ones that have issues with the deformities or issues like that, and they don't produce eggs at the said time. Because if you are told your chicken will start producing eggs between month 4 and month 5, and they start producing eggs at around month 7, you will incur losses for 2 months, and that one you will not recover. So that one will eventually eat up in your profits, and the chances of your poultry farming failing is very, very high. Another thing where cheap is expensive, where you suffer from cheap things, is when you are purchasing feeds. There was a time that I was doing very, very nice feeds, but one salesman came and convinced me that they have a very, very nice product, and that product was 10 shillings cheaper than the ones I was using. That was one hole that I entered, and almost made me to get out of poultry farming. Because when I started giving my poultry that feed, they went from around 7 trays to less than 1 tray in less than a week. And after I reintroduced the quality feeds, it took a lot of time before my poultry could get back to the laying percentage they were earlier, before I started introducing the adulterated feeds. So thank you very much for staying up to this point, and because you have stayed up to this point, I will give you a bonus tip. When you are a very small poultry farmer, there is one thing that you enjoy that big poultry farmers don't. Like for instance, right now I'm selling one tray of egg for 450 shillings because I'm doing around 100 eggs at this time. But if I'm having around 2,000 eggs, I will have a surplus of the market that I'm supplying right now, and it will reach a point that I'll have to incur other expenses like transport cost to fetch these eggs to other markets. If I do that, plus the transport cost, and another thing, if you go to another market, I'm very sure I'll not sell my eggs at around 480. I will go to around 400, 380. But the best thing with going very big is even if the prices are very low, you have economies of scale because you are doing very large numbers. Even if the profits are very low per unit, eventually you'll have a big margin. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next educational video. Bye.